So our first participant tonight is connecting. Okay, Felicia Chan from Malaysia. You're the first one tonight.
Good evening, Brother Ajahn. Brother Ajahn, may I know what is the difference between awareness and mindfulness?
Awareness and mindfulness. I think mindfulness is to be aware of one particular thing, like your breath or your Bhutto. This is mindfulness. While awareness is to be aware of anything. That's the nature of the mind. The mind is the one who knows or who awares of everything. But you need mindfulness to direct the mind to be aware of one particular thing.
Okay. Brother Ajahn, is awareness achieved from mindfulness?
Awareness is what?
Is awareness achieved from mindfulness?
Achieved from mindfulness?
Yeah.
No, awareness is the one who knows. This is the natural nature of the mind. Always aware. But sometimes it's just aware without any guidance. It needs mindfulness to guide it to be aware of something useful.
Okay. Brother Ajahn, is mindfulness not permanent? What about awareness? Is it permanent?
It is part of the mind. It's the nature of the mind, and
Okay.
the mind is always existing. It doesn't disappear.
The means awareness is permanent, right?
I guess so. It's the function of the mind or the nature of the mind.
Okay.
The mind is always aware or always know.
Okay. The mindfulness not permanent, right?
Mindfulness is
not permanent.
It is not. You need to develop it to make it permanent. Once you develop it, you can have mindfulness all the time. But when you're starting, your mindfulness is on and off. Sometimes you're mindful of your Bhutto, then the next moment you go think about something else. Your mind goes somewhere else. So this is mean your mindfulness is still not continuous.
Okay.
But as you practice, your mindfulness will improve, and your mindfulness will always be with the mind, be with the awareness.
Okay. The awareness is a natural mind.
Yes, it's the nature of the mind. It's the nature of the mind.
Is it, in other words, is it wisdom?
No, wisdom is something the mind has to study to gain wisdom.
Okay, thank you. Amutana Brajan, Sadhu.
Okay.
Sadhu.
Next, Kwan Lee Man from Malaysia.
Good evening, Ajahn.
Go ahead. And you have anything to say?
Okay. Okay. Ajahn, I always hear the word wisdom and panya in the talk. So does this wisdom refer to the seeing of anicca, dukkha, anatta, the Four Noble Truths, insight and realization?
Yes.
Yeah, that's all I want to ask. Thank you, Ajahn.
Okay. Really from Indonesia.
Good evening, Ajahn. I would like to ask if someone is observing 8 precepts and then he or she has to take medicine in the evening and has to take it with meal. So how he or she should go about it? And I mean, is it all right to take meal in the evening in that case?
Well, it depends on what you want to keep. You want to keep the 8 precepts or you want to keep your body. See? So you have to take a choice, make a choice. If you want to keep your body, then you have to give up the 6th precept. You can keep the 7th precept, but not the 6th, eating after midday. But if you want to keep the 8th precept and you don't care about keeping your body, then you keep the 8th precept and you don't eat. Even if you're sick, even if you have to take medicine, you just take medicine without eating after midday. So it's a choice you have to make. What you want to do? You want to keep your 8th precept, or you want to keep your body? So you cannot take both. You cannot have them both. You cannot have your cake and eat it too. Maybe sometimes you have to suspend the 8th precept if it's on medical ground. Instead of keeping the 8th precept, just keep the 7th precept. If you are a lay person, you can do this. But for a monk, he cannot break his precept, even on medical ground.
Okay, so we have to choose, right, Ajahn?
More or less.
I mean, yeah, there is no excuse, right, even on the medical ground.
Yes, because sometimes your defilement use the medical ground as the reason for eating.
Okay.
So if you want to be strict and you want to move forward with your practice, then you have to forego your medical reason.
Or maybe, I mean, sometimes we can take allowables. I mean, just to substitute the meal. Is it still acceptable for the 8 precepts?
Well, anything that is considered to be food will not be allowed to take after midday. So you have to interpret what you eat, whether this thing is considered to be food or a medicine or something else.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Ajahn.
All right. Next, Kok Seng from Singapore.
Oh, yeah. Good evening, Ajahn. Yeah. Yes. I'd like to seek Ajahn advice for householders. What would be a very compelling reason for householders to practice to lead a separate life or celibacy, so that the householders can be fully committed to it?
Can you repeat your question again?
For householders, how can we have a very compelling reason to practice celibacy, so that we can be committed that we will, from henceforth, we will practice celibacy, lead a celibate life as a householder.
When you find that having sexual activity interfere with your advance in your practice, then you want to practice celibacy. Because if you're still involved with sexual activities, then you won't have time to meditate, to practice more. So your practice cannot go forward. So if you want to go forward in your practice, then you have to forego your sexual activity. Okay, this is good enough for you?
Okay, thank you, Ajahn.
Because sexual activity can become a hindrance to your meditation practice. Because when you try to practice and then your sexual desire arises, then you will not be able to continue on meditating. You'll be hijacked by your sexual desire to go somewhere else, to do something else. Okay.
Okay.
But if you're just a part-time meditator, then you can divide up the time, half for the sexual activities and the other half for meditation. Okay. The reason why a monk has to take the celibacy vow because the Buddha wants the monk to concentrate on just the meditation practice, not to be distracted by any other practices. Okay. Next, Bruce Lee from Indonesia.
Evening, Ajahn. I have no question for tonight. Thank you, Ajahn.
You're welcome. Get Bien So from Penang.
Good evening, Ajahn. No question. Yeah.
Okay, Sajalka from Silver Spring, Maryland.
Good evening, Ajahn. My question is that how can I be mindful so that the sound that I hear, I leave them just as sound, because the sound that's coming in when it's pleasing, I'm pleased with that and taken away with it. But when it is something that makes me angry, that actually is like it's lighting up a fire. And both of them are equally bad, but the pleasing one I want to take and not take the one that makes me angry and makes me take off on a complete not Dhamma path. And so how, I mean, I thought about just plugging my ears when I'm around people, so to speak, because lower your gaze so that I don't look at their body gestures, which may or may not annoy me or something. But how would I be mindful that to be aware all the time that the sound is just a sound? I don't have to interpret it in a way that I like it or I dislike it or get angry, but invariably most of the time.
So you need ubekkha, so you need equanimity to be able to.
And it's the anger case.
Yeah, you need to have, your mind need to have ubekkha or equanimity before it can treat sound as sound and not as something pleasant or unpleasant. It's the interpretation of the mind that interpret the sound to be pleasant or unpleasant. But if the mind is in ubekkha mode, it doesn't interpret. It just merely listens. It's just merely hearing. And it doesn't interpret the sound to be good or bad. So that's why you need to develop samadhi. You need to develop jhana to make your mind enter into this equanimity mode. That's why then you can apply wisdom to teach the mind that sound is just sound. You know, whether it's not good or bad sound, it's your mind who interprets them to be good or bad sound. Otherwise, you won't be able to do it. You might be able to do it by force, but not all the time. When you're not mindful and not forcing your mind to treat it sound as sound, then your interpretation can overtake your mind and then interpret the sound to be good or bad. But with equanimity, your mind will be merely knowing or hearing, as the Buddha taught. When you hear something, just hear. When you see something, just see. Don't interpret them to be good or bad. That's why you need to have equanimity in order to be able to do this thing naturally, not by forcing your mind to do it. Because your mind still keeps interpreting what you see, what you hear to be good or bad to you. Okay,
So
so
for
try
the
to
upekha,
meditate and develop wisdom. Don't worry about wisdom now. It's too far away. You don't have the tool to apply wisdom. You need to have equanimity first. You need to have jhana in order to gain equanimity. And in order to gain jhana, you need to have mindfulness. We always come back to the first step, which you want to forget and keep skipping the first step. That's why you keep falling. You might be able to walk for a couple of steps, then you fall because you haven't yet learned how to stand up before you walk.
Thank you, Dhanachan.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next, Gavin Danapong from Vancouver, Washington State.
Hello, Ajahn. I wanted to ask about investigating pain. So in the beginning, I can't stay with the pain for long enough to have any real investigation of it. Is this just a lack of sati or a lack of will or both maybe?
Lack of equanimity to treat the pain as just merely sensation that that your body produces. You still interpret the sensation to be good or bad, pleasant or unpleasant, and then you react to that sensation. If it's good, you have attraction for it. If it's bad, you have aversion for it. So, but if you have equanimity, when you come face to face with sensation from the body, regardless of whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, it can remain still, not reacting, and can coexist with the sensation. So you should keep practicing mindfulness and jhana, so to gain equanimity. Then when you come across anything, you can teach your mind just to remain non-reactive, non-interpretive. Just merely see the raw truth, not the interpreted truth that we see. The truth that we see had been interpreted by our delusion to be good or bad, based on ourselves, based on the self, which is delusion. So the Buddha wants us to look at the raw truth, the uninterpreted, unexplained truth, unnarrative truth, no narrative to what you see. The mind gives narrative, narrating the things we see and hear. Oh, this is good, this is bad. But they are all just phenomena that come and go. As far as the mind is concerned, the mind can coexist with any type of phenomena that the mind comes into contact with. But when the mind is being taken over by delusion, by the defilement, then it starts to become discriminating. It starts to separate the good from the bad, the pleasant from the unpleasant. Then it has attraction and aversion. Bhava tanha or vibhava tanha will arise. Then dukkha will arise when you have this aversion or attraction. So you want the goal is to keep the mind still, not reacting with aversion or attraction. Then it can withstand any type of sensation that it comes involved with, come into contact with.
Okay.
You get the point?
Yes.
So the point is to get to equanimity.
Okay. Thank you, Ajahn.
And then when the mind wants to react, then you teach the mind to stay put, stay in equanimity. Then everything cannot hurt the mind. It's the mind that hurting itself by reacting to things with aversion or with attraction. But if you have no equanimity, it's almost automatic. As soon as the mind comes into contact with anything, it will react right away because it will interpret them to be good or bad or neutral.
Okay, I understand.
All right. Next,
Thank you, Ajahn.
Karen from San Jose, California. Anything today?
Good morning. No, I have no questions. I'm just listening and learning. Thank you.
It's quite early for you now, huh? 5 o'clock, right?
Yeah, I'm
Part-time.
adjusted. Yeah, it's okay today. Last week it was difficult.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's the same time, but you just move your clock. That's all, right?
Like you say, it's up here.
It's your mind, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the same time here in Thailand. We start with 8 o'clock here in Thailand.
Right.
Okay. Nice to see you.
Yeah,
Next,
thank you.
Sui and Jack from Vancouver.
Hello, Tan
Good
Ajahn.
evening, Ajahn.
Good evening, Tan Ajahn.
Any question?
So, yes, Tan Ajahn, like during if one has equanimity, like his mind always hold on to something, like to a meditation object, or just being like anything, like hold on anything.
See, equanimity arises from the result of calming your mind. Stop your mental activity, stop your thinking and perceiving, just to be merely seeing. And you need to have mindfulness to be able to do this. Once you get it to the point where it has become still, then equanimity will be the consequence of the mind being still from the two mental activity, which is perceiving and thinking, sanya and sankhara.
Okay.
But it can only stay there briefly, because when your mindfulness becomes weakened, then your thinking and perceiving will start working again. And then you will gradually lose your equanimity again. That's why you have to keep maintaining mindfulness all the time, even when you're not meditating. After you come out of meditation, if you want to protect or maintain your equanimity, then you have to continue on with your mindfulness. Keep preventing your mind to think unnecessarily or perceive things unnecessarily. Only use it when you really have to. Then you can maintain the equanimity for a longer period of time. And then you can then use wisdom to teach your mind to see that everything is natural phenomena. Anatta, no self, no body, doesn't belong to anything, to anybody. To stop the mind from having desire or craving for things that it comes across. Whether it be the positive, like attracting, or the negative aversion. Just teach your mind just to leave things alone. They're not worth it. They hurt the mind more than help the mind. The mind can exist alone by itself. The mind can be happy without having to have anything to make it happy. Because everything that the mind thinks that will make it happy will actually will make it sad or make it miserable later on. So this is the wisdom you want to teach your mind. Anytime your mind starts to crave for something, then you teach your mind that the object of your craving is impermanent. It's a natural phenomenon that you cannot keep it with you forever or maintain it the way you want it. You will be changing all the time. And the consequence of this will be dukkha in your mind, because your mind will be saddened by the changing of the things that you acquire, because you don't expect it to change, right? When you get something, you expect it to remain good and make you happy. And when things start to change and make you unhappy, then you become saddened. So in the end, with wisdom, you see that everything in this world that we come into contact with, the sensual organs, are all dukkha. Will all give you dukkha one day, sooner or later. So it's better to exist without having to have any of these things at all. Just exist with equanimity. Just exist with peace.
Oh, okay, so yeah, very clear. Tan Ajahn, when we practice mindfulness, like we always hold on to a meditation object, and then when one get to equanimous state, meanings like he stopped sanya and sankhara.
Yeah, when the sanya sankhara stop, then you don't need to do anything.
You can't hold on any object anymore, right? You don't. Okay. And then when we want to develop insights, then we use the sankhara to go
teach
and
the mind,
to teach the mind.
And everything is impermanent, and everything is a natural process in which you cannot control to keep it permanent, to make it permanent. Everything keeps changing, everything rises and ceases.
Yeah.
And if you want them to be permanent or not changing, then you'll have disappointment or suffering, mental suffering. Okay. So once you see that everything will cause you dukkha or suffering sooner or later, then you stop going after them. When you stop going after them, then your mind becomes still automatically. Nothing to do, nothing to go after. So the mind just be happy with itself. Doesn't need to have anything to make it happy. It can be happy alone by itself. I used to say alone but not lonely.
So Tan Ajahn, at that stage, meanings like we have to see this body,
everything,
like suffering.
Everything that the mind go after, everything that the mind craves for, will give the mind suffering sooner or later.
Okay.
Your wife, your son, your property, your possession, anything, your status, whatever you go after, they are all temporary. Sooner or later you will lose them. And when you lose them, you become sad. You become lonely again, alone again naturally. But to be alone is really a good thing if you can learn how to live alone. We have to learn to live alone. See? Right now, we don't know how to live alone. We cannot live alone. We have to have somebody or something to keep us happy. But now you have the teaching of the Buddha that teach us to meditate, to calm the mind, to still the mind, to stop all cravings. Once you can do this, then you can live alone, happily.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's why from the dependent origination, Buddha said we want to recreate this situation again because we do not want to be alone.
Yeah, because when you're alone, you're sad, you're lonely.
Yeah. So we go and find another partner. So that's the whole cycle.
But once you can stop your mind from grasping for things, then the mind can become happy in itself by itself.
Mm.
Then it doesn't have to go after anything. So the whole purpose here is to stop the mind from thinking, from perceiving. To see that once the mind stops doing this thing, the mind can become peaceful and happy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Anything from you, Chen?
No, it's very good.
No,
Thank you.
nothing, no.
Yeah, she stopped perceiving.
Melinda from Singapore. Anything today?
So many things and becomes nothing.
Okay.
Thank you, Tante.
Right. Philip?
Good evening, Ajahn. It's actually the same. I think it's also the same question about equanimity that everybody has actually spoken to. I just need to make a further. Is the state of equanimity is it the time when the labeling and the story stops, right, in your mind?
Yes. All that is left is just knowing.
So sound is just a sound. A dog bark is just
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody say something bad to you, it's just a sound to you.
Okay. And all the stories in your mind, whatever movie.
Everything you see or hear, they're just what you see, what you hear.
Yes, understand. The other question I have, Tanajan, is with regards to the stage of I did a bit of clarification on that, on the stage of Sotapanna and the one returner. I understand that the one returner has not abandoned the other two higher factors, right? They have only abandoned the first three, but the other two factors, which are sensual desire and things like that, are only reduced.
Reduced, right? To about maybe to 50%. Half of half and half.
Right. Okay. So in that instance, does the practitioner know, or it's just only a labeling stage used in the teaching?
Oh, he knows because he's trying to develop the two to get rid of these two factors, which is asubha. Sometimes he forgets asubha, then he see everything as good looking, attractive again.
Okay.
So anytime you forget to see things as asubha, you can return back to before. Return to see things as good looking, attractive to you again. But if you keep continue on contemplating on asubha, then eventually your asubha will be complete, will be full, will be working all the time. Let's put it that way. Right now it's working a half of the time because it's still lazy sometimes. So you have to put in more effort to force the mind to work on asubha, so that it sees the body. Every time it sees the body, it sees the asubha. Then it can become. Then he will reach the third stage of enlightenment. When he see every time he sees the body as asubha, then the sexual desire cannot arise anymore. So you get rid of the third and fourth, the fourth and fifth fetters completely at the third stage, when you can contemplate asubha all the time, see the body as asubha all the time. Especially when there's a sexual desire arising, your asubha will come right away and say, it's not attractive or good looking as you think.
Understand.
So at this stage, you have to be continually training your mind to look at the body as asubha, like have an X-ray vision of the body. scan the rest of the body. Look under the skin to see all the other parts of the body. Like they have the CT scan, right? That's how the medical community used to see the inner parts of the body. They put you in a tunnel and then they scan your body with some radio wave. But here you can use wisdom, you can use panya to scan it instead. By imagining, by looking at the example. You can look, nowadays there are lots of pictures or diagram of the various parts of the body. We can use that and try to remember those diagrams or those pictures and put them in your mind so that anytime you see a body, you scan the body right away with the pictures that you have seen previously.
Ajahn, I mean, I think this was also mentioned by Jack. I mean, when I'm looking at a picture, I mean, for me, it's like looking at the science textbook, you know. But maybe the smell could be the one that can really turn off because it's like studying, like going to do your university exam doing biology, you know. When I look at a textbook or even looking at YouTube and autopsy, you know. So I think you mentioned that last week is like if you can get into an autopsy, you know, I think it's something that I need to find out, see whether they allow this in my country.
Yeah, you check the hospitals or the university, medical university, see if they are open to the public or not. Or maybe you can get a special permission from the university or the hospital to be an observer, invite a guest. Get an invitation to go look at corpses. Okay.
Thank you, Tanjan.
B. Ravin Chinnapon from Bangkok.
Good evening to you, Thanajan. So I have a question. Maybe it's an extension from what Philip mentioned earlier about Asupa. So maybe I need some clarification on this. How does Asupa link with the fifth fetter of unhappiness? Do they go together?
Yes, when you have some desire, you're not happy, right? You're only happy when after you get what your desire want, right? If you want to go out, you're not happy, you have to stay at home, right? But once you get to go out, then you become happy. Your dissatisfaction will disappear. So they come together, they are cause and consequence. The sexual desire or the desire for anything will cause you unhappiness, dissatisfaction, discontentment.
So for example, if we say, oh, we have a desire to take breaks, listen to music or relax or watch TV, this is all excuses, right? It's not really relaxing. It's just satisfying our sensual desires one way or another.
That's right. Because it's never ending, right? You take this break and you go and do whatever you want to do. Then when you come back and do your work, do whatever you have to do. Then after a while, you want to take a break again and go again. It's never fulfilling. It's a temporary measure to alleviate your dissatisfaction due to your hunger for something. But you have to go after what you crave for. Once you get what you want, then your discontentment disappears temporarily. You feel contentment, but just briefly. Temporarily. Then after a while, a few hours, your desire come up again, your craving come up again. So this is not the way to find contentment. The way to find contentment is to stop your craving by refusing to go after your craving. So you need equanimity and the perception of the opposite of what you think. If you think this thing will make you happy, you have to see with wisdom that it will make you unhappy. So this is, you have to look at anicca, dukkha, anatta every time you go after something. They are all anicca, dukkha, anatta. They are not the solution to your problem. The solution to your problem is to stop your craving by seeing everything as being anicca, dukkha, anatta. In the case of beauty, you should see them as asubha, not good looking, not attractive.
So developing equanimity is getting rid of positive and negative feelings of the mind.
Yes, but it only lasts temporarily because your mindfulness is not always, it's not permanent, it's not continuous yet. So when you come out and you get involved with thinking and perceiving, your equanimity will gradually disappear.
So this is the work of the five senses. No, sorry, the five parts of the mind, the Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara. That
just the two, nama, sanya, sankhara. And vinyan is the one that receive all the sensual objects. And then sanya, sankhara will then interpret to see whether it's good or bad for the mind. Once it finds out it's good or bad, it gets good feeling or bad feeling from seeing these objects. And then it will have attachment or desire for more. If it's good, you want more. You want to have it all the time. If it's bad, you want to get rid of it right away, as soon as possible. And when you cannot do this, then you have dukkha, stress will arise, not being able to get what you want. So we keep generating stress without knowing it through our desire, through our misinformed mind, by seeing things as good or bad for the mind. And in fact, we should see them as neither good nor bad for the mind. They're just neutral, really.
I see. So would, for example, if I was at a restaurant and I was ordering a dish, choosing what to order, is that desire? Or is that just something I have to do?
Well, you have to, the best thing is to let the waiter just choose for you. Tell them, just choose me something.
Oh.
Then that will be the right way to do it. You know, when the waiter comes and asks, what do you like? Oh, just get me anything. Whatever is good for today, just get it for me. I just want something to fill my stomach, that's all. To get rid of my hunger. But not for the pleasure of eating. I don't want any pleasure from eating. So you can give me anything, even something I don't like to eat, I'll force myself to eat because I'm not eating it. It's the body that's eating it. The mind doesn't eat the food. But the mind is the one who chooses the food for the body, right?
Yes.
And the body doesn't know what it eats anyway, right?
It just digests the food, that's all.
Yeah. So if you're feeding the body, why should you worry what kind of food you're giving the body? As long as it's healthy and it doesn't hurt the body, that's all you have to worry about. But you don't care about the appearance or the taste or the smell of the food, right? It's like when you feed the dog, you just give them a can of dog food, right? You don't care. That's how you should treat your body like a dog when you feed your body.
Oh, I never thought of it that way, but that's very insightful, Thanajan. Well, so it's very subtle how the mind is really tricked into desire by not even knowing. I never thought of it as desire until you mentioned it just now.
Yeah, you don't know that. But once you have got rid of your desire, then you can choose the food even. Yeah, but you don't choose with desire. You just pick whatever you can put into the body. But it doesn't bother you whether it doesn't make you happy or sad whether you can eat the food, that type of food or not.
Oh, wow. I learned something new today. Treat the body like a dog.
As far as feeding it, yeah. As far as feeding it. It's just like an automobile. You can choose the brand of gasoline you put in. It's the same. And the automobile doesn't care which brand of gasoline you feed it, right? You give it. They're all the same. But due to the commercial you see on your TV or something, and or maybe some of the bonus you get from the station, then you choose the brand for your car, right? But really, the car doesn't care what type of brand of gas it takes in, right? It's all the same.
Yeah, it's just all made up in the mind. Wow.
That's why you have to get to equanimity first before you can see what it's like for the mind when it doesn't react or doesn't choose, doesn't discriminate. It just merely know, merely see, merely hear. Then when your defilement wants to discriminate, then you use wisdom to stop it. Wisdom will tell you everything is the same, everything is anicca, dukkha, anatta. Whether it's gold or diamond or silver, they're all anicca, dukkha, anatta.
That's very clear, Thanajan. Now I can see how I can apply to food and other daily life activities as well.
Once you have equanimity, your mind is full, is contented. So it doesn't really care, it doesn't matter what it has or doesn't have. All right?
Yep, that's something I'll need to develop.
It can exist alone by itself. This is the goal. This is what the Buddha calls self-reliance. Attahi atano nato. You are yourself. You have to rely on yourself to make you happy, to keep you happy. You cannot rely on other people or things to make you happy because they change, because they don't last.
And then when we want them to last and they don't, we become upset from it.
Yeah, you become stressful, you become fearful, you become worrying.
That's true, Thanajan. Thank you so much for your teachings today.
So as far as the practice is concerned, it's mindfulness. Mindfulness leads you to equanimity. And once you have equanimity, then you want to keep your equanimity by using mindfulness and wisdom to stop your defilement from pushing the mind to go after things that will hurt the mind.
Understood, Thanajan. Thank you very much.
Okay, next, Lillian from Bangkok, Malaysian, living in Bangkok.
Good evening, Thanajan. No question today, but just a comment about the eating like a dog. Since you were saying that we should eat everything mixed in the bowl, so nowadays when I eat,
Yeah.
Like, let's say we go for a family function and we have a Chinese table. I tend to ask them not to change the plate, so I just eat whatever that is on the plate. So even if dessert comes, it's also on the same plate. But people normally still tend to want to change the plate for you, even though you say no.
Yeah, you should just let them be, because they might think you're weird if you do
Yeah.
something different from them.
But it is an interesting challenge to ourselves to do that.
You do that when you're alone, yeah, so that you don't cause any
Yeah.
problem with other people.
Yes, of course, I still let them change it. Just find it quite interesting to do that sometimes. Yep.
When I stay at Wat Yannasangwararam with Nong Ta Mahabua, the monk are not allowed to select the food to put into their bowl.
Mm.
The monk will be given a bowl of something, and then the monk will distribute this food to every bowl, take a scoop into each bowl. So by the time when you start to eat, look in your bowl, you got all sort of food in your bowl.
Mm.
And they're not separated. They just put in the bowl.
Okay.
So like it's almost like dog food. Yeah. Leftover.
Yeah. I shall try that next.
Yeah.
It's really a good practice, because before
Why don't you try to mix it up everything? Put everything that you're gonna eat in a bowl and then mix it up like you would. Eventually it will be mixed in your stomach anyway, right?
Yes.
So you mix it before that. Mix it in the bowl. Put your dessert, put your salad, your cakes, your whatever, your coffee or tea, and mix it all up in the bowl and eat it.
Yep. That will be the next step for sure.
Yeah.
I'll try that.
Then you will have no problem in eating anymore, and you won't get any. You won't have any overweight problem because you.
Yes. Because you don't want to eat the food so much.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Ajahn.
All right. Next, Johanna from Indonesia.
Hello, Ajahn. Ajahn, I have a question about something on the question and answer on Sunday. Somebody asked about the absorption concentration, Ajahn. When I meditate, I can get into the calm state, but it is very hard to get into that absorption concentration, Ajahn. Why is it so, Ajahn?
Your mindfulness is not strong enough, so you have to train more in mindfulness. When you're not meditating, you have to do it all the time. The more you do it, the stronger your mindfulness will become. The more continuous it will become. Then when you meditate, you can then force the mind to be absorbed longer.
Yeah, because I never experienced that absorption concentration.
Yeah, not because your mindfulness is not continuous and not strong enough yet. So you have to practice mindfulness before you meditate. From the time you get up, as soon as you open up your eyes, start using mindfulness. Start reciting Bhutto, Bhutto. Control your thoughts, stop your thinking. Only think when you have to think. When you don't have to think, stop it. And use a mantra or force your mind to watch what your body is doing.
Ajahn, is it also because of the meditation, the duration, because it's not long enough, or?
Well, you shouldn't set up the time for meditation really if you really want to get any result. You should set up mindfulness as your timer, not the clock as your timer.
Okay.
The stronger your mindfulness is, the longer you will be able to see.
Okay, Ajahn. Yeah,
All
I
right.
understand. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Next, Gary from Singapore.
Good evening, Ajahn. No questions from me tonight. Just
Okay.
here to listen.
Alvin from Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur.
Good evening, Ajahn. Just going back to equanimity. I remember once I asked you about falling down from a high place, and I think Ajahn mentioned it's part of calmness. Is that split second that feeling, is that part of Peka, Ajahn?
Yes, when you first started, when you first achieve this result, it usually don't last for very long. They call it Kanika Samadhi, momentary Samadhi. But as you keep on practicing more with mindfulness, then you will remain in that state longer. Then we call it Appana Samadhi. And you want to keep the mind in that state for as long as possible, because you are generating more ubekha, you are generating more equanimity by remaining in that state. So when you come out, this equanimity will accompany the mind, but it will only last for as long as it has been produced in samadhi.
So you're saying that if it's a few seconds you have the feelings, then when you come out you only have a few seconds.
Yeah, you will lose it right away.
Right.
Then you have to use mindfulness to bring it back again.
And it's very hard to achieve, right?
It's not hard, just a matter of doing it. That's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. Always look for reason not to.
Yeah, you don't do it, and you just keep thinking, keep talking, keep doing something else. But you don't want to do mindfulness for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah. Mystically stuff.
You should make mindfulness as your priority. See? From now on, my priority is to develop mindfulness, not everything else. Everything else comes second. Your first priority is to be mindful, and then whatever you do it with mindfulness. But usually when you throw mindfulness away and just concentrate on what you do.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
And not being mindful doing it.
Yeah. Defilements, yeah, always take over. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So tomorrow, as soon as you get up, ask yourself, am I being mindful? Starting the new day with mindfulness. And try to maintain it. Try to carry mindfulness all day long with you.
Yeah.
Either a mantra or focus on your body.
Yeah. Even waking up, sometimes we are not mindful, right? We don't even just jump up and bed.
Jump up, look at the clock, and start going to the toilet or do whatever you need to do.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm late. I have to go and I need to do something. I'm late already.
That's correct. Yeah.
So your mind running all over the place.
Yeah. Then you become unsettled the whole day. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And worry, anxiety start coming up. Stress. Yeah. I'm going to be late. I'm going to be late. What am I going to do? You know.
Yes. Yeah. It's normal. Every day it's like this.
So if you find hard to get up early, why don't you go to bed early? You'll find easier to get up early when you go to bed early. Go to bed 7 o'clock, you'll be able to get up.
Then defilements again, Ajahn, they say, oh, I have to do this, I have to read this, I have to do that. You keep on delaying.
And what do they give you? All the things that you've been doing for the rest of your life, from the time you were born until now. What have you achieved from doing all these things? Any peace of mind?
Not really. Yes, we never learn. It's just like Groundhog Day, right? Repeat all over and over again every day. We know it's not right, but we keep on doing it.
You should change your priority and change your goal from accumulating money and things, and to accumulate peace of mind instead, and mindfulness. You should switch your goal.
Okay.
Why else you will be doing the same old thing again? Even 20 years from now, you'll be sitting here talking the same thing.
Yeah, asking the same question.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you have to switch priority and switch your goal. Your priority is to train yourself in mindfulness, and the goal is to have peace of mind, peace, equanimity.
I read one of your, I think your writing saying that you don't ask question when Long Tham Mahaprabhu was teaching, because you just listen and and listen to what he taught, right?
If you listen carefully, you don't need to ask any question. The reason why you ask because you're not listening when he's telling you something. So you didn't understand what he told you, so you have to ask him again. See?
Correct. Okay, Tanajan, thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Next, Yok Bay from New York, a friend of what's her name? Felicia. Hi, can you hear? Can you hear
Yes.
me?
Yeah, good evening, Brother Ajahn.
You have any question?
Yes. First, I need to say thank you to you. It's very helpful for my. And my question is, I'm doing the Dana and Sila every single day. I feel very happy. Do I need to add more something else for my life?
Well, there's another one practice that you have to do called Pavana, or mind development, mental development, mind development. And this has to do with practicing meditation, mindfulness meditation, and developing wisdom. And that's what you need to do. Wisdom you can develop by listening to Dhamma talks or reading Dhamma books for now, for a starting point. While meditation, you need to develop, train yourself in mindfulness. First, try to stop your mind from thinking by reciting a mantra, Bhutto, Bhutto, or keep watching your body. Focus on observing your body, movement, every activity of your body. You should be watching it, not letting your mind go away someplace else. Then when you have time, then you should sit down and close your eyes and meditate.
Okay. And next question, can I ask the Buddha is already in the Nibbana, and he's still talking Dhamma in the heaven?
No, he doesn't talk with anybody anymore once he passed away. His mind is more or less alone by itself.
Okay, and the next question, and also the Arahant could still see the Buddha in the human world, in the
Some Arahant who has psychic power might be able to connect with the past Buddhas.
Okay, thank you. That's all. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay. Nanapat from Bangkok. Any question from you?
No question ค่ะท่านอาจารย์ Thank you for your teaching ค่ะ
Okay. Ricardo Tunes from Uruguay. Hi, Ricardo. Haven't seen you a while.
Yes, nice to see you and thank you for your teachings. I was sick, that's why I haven't been around, but I'm okay now. First of all, just to thank all your teachings and all your Dharma talks that I hope someday will bring me some wisdom, as you said before. I was wondering, like, when I am going to start a retreat tomorrow, and when I am like sweeping the leaves on the temple, is that also desire? I mean, when I go to do something like sweeping the leaves, is that also desire?
It depends on the situation. if the situation calls for your action, then this is not desire. Like when your body say I'm hungry, then you give it food. This is not desire. But when your body is not hungry and you want to eat, then this is desire. You know what I mean?
Yes.
When the temple ground is not doesn't need for you to do any sweeping, but you still want to sweep, then this is desire.
All right.
So you have to let the situation dictate, not your mind, not your desire dictate what to do. Then it's not considered to be desire defilement. Now, if your clothes is dirty, then you have to wash it, right? But if your clothes is not dirty and you still want to wash it, then this is desire. Focus on the need. If it's the need, then it's not desire. If you don't need it and you still want to do it, then this is desire. If you don't need the money and you still want to have money, then this is desire. But if you need the money to feed your body, then this is not desire. Okay, can you more or less differentiate between the two now, the need and the desire?
Yes, very clear. Thank you very much. Another question, if you let me, would be like, sometimes I've heard that like wisdom or panya will be something that it will grow like inside of me without doing anything, without trying to get anything, without trying to achieve anything.
That's a misperception. Because the Buddha said wisdom comes in 3 stages. The first stage is called wisdom arising from learning. Sutta maya panya. Sutta means listening to Dhamma talk, listening to the teaching of the Buddha. You have to learn, though, you cannot have your own wisdom arise in a foolish mind. A foolish mind will never have any wisdom arising by itself. It needs to get wisdom from a wise mind, like the Buddha. So that's why we have to study the Buddhist, study the Dhamma teaching, right? Study about the 4 noble truths, the 3 characteristics of existence, for instance. This is the first level or first stage of wisdom, is learning from others. And once you have learned from the other, you go to the next stage. Try to maintain this knowledge that you have learned by constantly thinking about it, contemplating. Because if you don't, you can forget, right? It's like going to school. You first learn from your teacher in the class, and your teacher gives you some homework to do so that you don't forget. So this is the next level of wisdom or knowledge. Once you have learned the 4 noble truths, the 3 characteristics of existence, you learn the Asubha, for instance, then you want to come and contemplate so that you don't forget this knowledge. Then you go to the 3rd level. This is the level in which you will apply this knowledge to get rid of your defilement. In order to apply this knowledge that you have learned from the Buddha, that you have contemplated, you need to have ubekha. You have to have a strong mind, a mind that is content, not hungry. You know. In order to do this, you need to bhavana. You have to meditate to get into the 4th jhana. So once you have the 4th jhana, you have ubekha. When you apply the knowledge that you have been contemplating, you can get rid of your dukkha, your suffering. This is the 3rd level of wisdom called bhavana maya panya. And sometimes people interpret this to be knowledge arising from your meditation. No, it's not. When you meditate, you don't gain any knowledge. You gain equanimity. Then with equanimity, you use the knowledge that you have learned from the Buddha to apply to get rid of your desire, your cravings.
Very clear. And the last question. Living on a worldly life, sometimes because of our habits, our family, our culture, we tend to go to music, like songs and all that. I know that the Buddha said that we should not disturb our mind getting involved on songs and all that. Although I know there is one sutta that talks about 70 monks that got enlightened listening to a slave that was planting rice outside the temple, and she was singing the fourth noble truth. Have you heard about that? And what is your suggestion about songs, music, and all that?
It's not the music that made them enlightened. It's the message in the music. It's the Four Noble Truths. So you have to separate the two apart. If just plain music without the Four Noble Truths, they cannot become enlightened. But if there is no music, but there is the Four Noble Truths, they can still become enlightened. So it's not the music. Don't your defilement trying to use this reason for you to listen to music to become enlightened. Okay.
Okay.
That's
Thank
why
you very
even
much.
in Thailand nowadays, when they chant the teaching of the Buddha, they want to chant it with music. They thought that this will make it easier for people to understand the teaching. I don't know. Maybe it's the music that they're attracted to, not the teaching. If that's the case, then they won't become enlightened anyway.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Music is sensual pleasure. It is impermanent. It's anicca. And when you have no music to listen to, you can become sad or lonely again. So don't become attached to them. Try to get rid of them. Don't cling to them. Don't rely on them to make you happy. Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next, Professor Kenneth from Switzerland. You just came in, or you've been here for a while now?
I came in a bit late, Ajahn. I was teaching earlier, but I'm here now.
Okay. Any question today?
I'm just listening carefully today, Ajahn.
Okay.
Thank you.
Then Darren from Singapore.
I have no answer. I have no question today. Thank you.
No question from you. Sulan, you're next from Singapore. So.
Oh yeah. Hello, Ajahn. I have a question. Like, just wondering, like, how come, like in the suttas, like, we'll see stories of, I think, Ajahn saying, by the power of my merits, then they make some vow or something. Like, why do they like say by the power of my merits, so and so, etc. What's the purpose of saying by the power of my merit?
Well, people think that your merit is magical. They can do lots of things, which is a misunderstanding. Your merit is what makes you happy. That's all it does. It's make you happy, make your mind happy. By giving dana, when you give dana, you feel happy. When you keep sila, you feel happy. When you meditate, you feel happy. That's the power, makes your mind happy, not other people happy. Make other people rich or make other people get what they want. No, this is just a misunderstanding. But sometimes it happens coincidentally. They gave food to the monk this morning, and in the afternoon they bought some lottery tickets, and they win the lottery ticket. So they join him together as this by giving food to the monk makes them win the lottery tickets. But just by coincidence, really. But it's not the real connection there. There's no real connection there.
So actually, it's not possible that we say, oh, by the power of my merits, then we wish that people will be well and healthy.
It's just a wish. That's all. There's no connection with you. There might be some connection. If your mind is happy, your body can also be healthy from a happy mind. If your mind is stressful, then your body could be hurt by a stressful mind. Maybe there's a relationship there. But other than that, there's nothing magical about it.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for answering.
All right. Okay. Alfredo from Brazil.
Hi, Bante.
Greetings. How are you, Beka?
I'm fine, thanks.
Okay.
Thanks for the name.
You are alone and not lonely, right? You live alone?
Yes, always alone. I'm cooking.
And not lonely, right?
I clean my house. I meditate. my cell phone not to ring.
That means you have Ubeka.
I like to be in Sati Sampajana. But if Sati is belong to Samadhi group, why you can be Sati without meditation?
When you develop sati, you do both. During and not before meditation, you can develop sati, and when you meditate, you also have to develop sati at the same time. So you need sati at all times, not just when you meditate or when you're not meditate. You need both all the time. From the time you get up to the time you go to sleep, you need to keep maintaining sati or mindfulness all the time. Then your mind will be under your control. And your mind will have equanimity, ubeka. And you can be alone and not lonely. Right? You're alone right now, you're not lonely. That's because you have mindfulness. You have ubeka.
Yes.
But anytime you feel lonely, that's when your ubeka has disappeared. So you have to use mindfulness to bring your ubeka back again, or use wisdom.
Yes, I agree because in experience, for jhana is not meditation to reach for jhana. To reach samadhi is not need meditation, but samadhi and meditation looks like the same thing, ne, Bante?
Well, see, if you meditate, you will get full concentration, full ubeka. But when you are not meditating and you just maintaining mindfulness, you only get half of it. Get half ubeka, get half samadhi. So you need to sit down to meditate to get full samadhi, full ubeka.
Yes. It's the life alone.
Yes, we are all alone.
Yes.
But we don't want to be alone. That's why we live together.
I participate retire with Ajahn Sumedho, and Ajahn Sumedho teaches the tranquility.
Yes.
Ajahn Sumedho is an old man, 90 years, and Ajahn Sumedho said, "You have to go tranquility." Passaggi in Pali, tranquility.
Tranquility or ubeka or samadhi is the same thing.
Yes, yes.
All right.
Tranquility is a long life, ne, Bante? It's a
Yeah,
long.
you have to be alone to be tranquil. When you're with people, your mind cannot be tranquil. Your mind has to
Yes.
become active.
Yes.
To have tranquility, your mind have to be still.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Bante. Good days for you.
Thank you. Next, Evie. Evie from Indonesia.
Ya, Ajahn, Namo Buddhaya, Ajahn.
Anything?
Can you hear
Any
me?
question?
Yeah, Ajahn, I want to ask you about my meditation. 2 days ago, I read the article from Ajahn Lee. That article is explaining about united how to erase our breath until united with Buddha. So I practice it, and yeah, it really I feel united with the breath. My consciousness feel like solid, centered, stable, and balanced. Everything is under my control. My breath get in, I also knowing. My breath go out, breathing, I also knowing. Everything is under my control. I know everything, and that is so amazing, very amazing. And the happiness can last until today. And tomorrow I practice again. I can get that condition again. And I get in and get out maybe 4 or 5 times. But then tomorrow evening I cannot reach that stage again.
That's when you're not watching your breath. So when you cannot get it, you have to come back and start watching your breath again.
I'm watching, but maybe I have expected, Ajahn, so I cannot reach that stage.
Maybe you're watching without, but your mind might be thinking of something else. So you cannot think about other things except the breath only.
Yeah, I always find a dead end like this. Cannot be like yesterday. I have felt this great comfortable, then tomorrow I have to lose and cannot find it again.
You have to find out why, because how did you do it yesterday and try to compare it today? There must be a difference.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. But I feel I have to like yesterday, but why still cannot? And I push myself, and it can be a stress. Cannot like yesterday again. Also, okay lah. I let go, just let go, and start from beginning again. Can a professional always enter this state at will, Ajahn?
Yes, once you become adept, you can enter into samadhi anytime. Once your mindfulness is continuous.
Is this samadhi, Ajahn? What I'm talking earlier is samadhi.
It's one form of samadhi in which your mind has calmness and not reacting to anything, just merely knowing.
Yeah, and the body feels like translucent and almost disappear. When the body starts to disappear, I feel so scared. Hey, where's the body? So I come back again and get in that stage again, and the body start to translucent and almost disappear again, and I scared again. Hey, where's the body? Yeah, I get in, get out, get in, get out like this position until more five times. Am I doing wrong, Ajahn? When my body get disappear, I so scared and I come back again. But the feeling of my head, my breath was so comfortable. This is maybe a half samadhi, Ajahn, or something wrong again. I don't know.
you have to investigate yourself because I'm not there with you, so I don't know what happened. You have to compare when you do this thing like this, and this is what you get, and when you're not doing this thing, you don't get this thing. So you have to go back and investigate what did you do right, and what did you not do right today. You did right. You did something right yesterday, but today you're not doing the same way that you did yesterday. So you compare, find out. Okay.
Yeah, Ajahn.
All
And
right.
I want asking about food, Ajahn. Does the monk or somebody who in practice in very deep still feel a bad taste or a good taste? Who decide if I eat something? Wow, this food is very nice, very good taste. This food is very bad taste. Who decide it? Is it Sankara or our defilement?
I don't know. You don't have to know whether it's what. Just you know that if you like it, then it's your defilement.
Yeah, this morning I cook egg and
Then you should eat something you don't like. You should eat something you don't like to counter your like.
Like this morning I cooked egg and the egg was burned, but I still eat it bad taste because the egg is burned. So I keep eating. I don't want to spoil my defilement. But my mind says it is not good if you eat the burnt egg because the nutrition they make and it can cause the bad for your body. So I stop it and I throw it away. Is that my defilement find some excuse to stop me to eat something bad taste?
I don't know. You have to find out yourself. You're the one who do the practice. I cannot tell you everything, because then you'll be dumb. You keep coming back and asking me again. So you have to. You ask yourself, then you have to find the answer yourself. And this is wisdom, not sanya, not something you learn from other people. Wisdom is something that you have to learn yourself. The Buddha just gave you an outline of what's wisdom, but then you have to investigate yourself, to find the answer yourself. Okay.
Okay, Ajahn. Thank you,
All
Ajahn.
right. Darren from Singapore, did you have a chance to speak yet? I'm sorry, I forget.
Yes, I just you asked. I have no question. Yeah.
All right, then we go to Seyun from Singapore also.
Hi, Ajahn. Good evening. I have no questions as well today.
Okay, no question. Well, it looks like everybody has the chance to ask questions. So let me go to Facebook now to see if we have any questions from Facebook today.
Yes, we have 7 questions from Facebook,ท่านอาจารย์ First question is from Eli Hassan. Ajahn, when getting to sleep, relax the body. Actually, when meditation, relax the mind, or we exercise the mind to be still, be conscious. Thank you.
Same thing, we're exercising or resting. You want to stop the mind from thinking. So it's resting the mind when you meditate. Like when you sleep, you rest the body. You stop the body from doing anything. So when you meditate, you stop the mind from thinking and perceiving.
Next question from KH10. Good evening, Ajahn. Please describe how should one guard the senses? How should one be mindful of thoughts? If spontaneous unwholesome thoughts arises, what should one do? Feel uneasy with it. Feel that only observing it, come and go, is not sufficient. How can one prevent unwholesome thoughts from arising, and how to train the mind? Thank you.
You just recite the mantra, Bhutto, Bhutto. When you have bad thought coming up, you replace it with Bhutto, Bhutto instead. So try to learn how to recite the Bhutto. So then when you have bad thoughts, then you can use Bhutto to stop your bad thoughts. as far as restraining your senses, you try not to see or hear things that will cause you to have any defilements. Don't watch a movie, don't listen to music, for instance. This is called restraining your senses.
Next question from Coach Winston. Is equanimity the same as stillness of the mind without reacting to any physical actions or emotions of the mind? Thank you.
Yes, when the mind becomes still, you have this state of equanimity. The mind becomes neutral. Doesn't react with love, hate, fear, or delusion.
Next question from Lamesh. No escape from dukkha once born, so how to avoid birth?
Stop the cause of birth, which are the three cravings. Cravings for sensual pleasure, craving for being, and craving for not being. Once you can stop all these three cravings, then birth cannot happen again.
Next question from Yapto. Namaste, Ajahn. I have a question about my meditation. When I do meditation, I feel like my body absorbed in a dark hole, and then something I feel like fall down in a dark place. But when in that condition, I feel very happy. Can you tell me the trick or the way to stay in that condition for a long time when I do meditation?
You have to train yourself more in mindfulness. Before you meditate, from the time you get up, start training yourself in mindfulness. Stop your mind from thinking by focusing on what you do with your body or reciting the mantra. Then when you meditate, your mind can remain in the state of calm for a longer period of time.
Next question from Tony Yep. Dear Thanachan, good evening. Is its mindfulness also anicca and anatta? Thank you.
Well, we don't really need to study whether it's anicca or anatta. What we need to know is that we have to develop it. Try to develop it, rather than try to study the nature of mindfulness. You don't need to study the nature of mindfulness. What you need to know is to develop mindfulness, how to develop mindfulness.
And last question from Tony Yap. Dear Thanachan, good evening. A Sakita Kami, his or her greed, hatred, and illusion has been lessened and lesser. So to what extent it means? Can Thanachan explain and give some example? Thank you.
Well, when you ask this question, it's a general question as far as hatred or anything like that is concerned. When you deal with the stages of enlightenment, you deal with the fetters. So when you achieve the first enlightenment, you have eliminated the three fetters, the first three fetters. And if you practice more, you will lessen the other two, and eventually get rid of it on your third stage of enlightenment. And then the last five will be eliminated by your final enlightenment. So when you reach the Arahant stage, then you have got rid of all your defilement. No hate, no anger, no greed, no delusion left in your mind.
That's all, Thanachan.
Okay. Anybody would like to ask any more questions? Please raise your hand and unmute your microphone. Okay, looks like nobody wants to ask any more questions, right?
Darren.
Okay, Darren.
I just thought of a question. When we are doing in meditation for sitting for long hours, the pain or unpleasant feeling will arise. May I ask, in that situation, what should one do?
You should concentrate on your meditation object. If you're watching your breath, try to keep watching your breath. But if you find that you cannot watch your breath because your mind keeps thinking about the pain, then you should replace it with using the mantra instead. Keep reciting the mantra, Bhutto, 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 or something longer if you like, Bhutto, Dhammo, Sangho, Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Dhammang Saranang, just to keep your mind busy so it doesn't become involved with trying to get rid of your painful feeling.
Would contemplate, because sometimes I would contemplate, because sometimes the pain is very intense. So what I would do, I would contemplate on the 3 characteristics to help. Will it be okay if I do it that way?
If you can do that and calm your mind, then it's okay. You can look at the pain as like being the weather, like the wind or the rain, something that you cannot force it to stop. It's something that you have to learn to live with it. If you can teach your mind to learn to live with your pain, then okay. The problem is your mind doesn't want to live with your pain, right? It wants to get out. It wants to get rid of the pain. So if you can use the 3 characteristics to tell that the pain is like the rain. Once it starts raining, you cannot tell it to stop. It will stop by itself sooner or later. Only thing you can do is not to live with it.
Okay, understand. Thank you so much, Ajahn.
Okay. Anybody else? Please don't hesitate. We still have lots of time left. If you want to ask any question. Even though it might sound silly to you, it might be useful for other people as well. So don't be shy. They say the mark of wisdom is to accept that you still need to know a lot more. Well, of a wise person. The mark of an ignorant person is someone who thinks he knows a lot already, knows enough already. Someone who thinks he is smart is usually okay. What, Jack, you want to ask a question? Okay. Check. Okay.
Ajahn, may I ask about Sotapan? Like you talked about like facing like extreme situation or like life and death situation, and then you can see that if you can see that you're not you can let go of not being afraid of getting old, getting sick and dying. You become a Sotapanna. Does it always have to be a extreme or life and death situation, Ajahn? That you can test yourself for
or
sure.
Maybe when you go to the doctor and he tells you you got third stage cancer, maybe that could be a test to you also. See how you would react to the news when the doctor say, "Oh, you got third stage cancer. There's nothing we can do for your body anymore." Then if you say, "Okay, no problem," then you pass the test, right? It has to be something real, not something imagined, right? We're talking right now.
Right.
So it has to be something real to you anyway. Even though you might not meet the actual thing, but if you think you're gonna die, for some reason you strongly believe that you're gonna die tomorrow, for instance. Maybe because you went to see a fortune teller and the fortune teller that your life will end tomorrow, and you strongly believe in what he tells you. Then if you say, okay, this is not me, the body is not me, if it's gonna die, it has to die one day sooner or later, and you accept that and you're not afraid of dying, then that can also be the test for you, I think. So, but it has to be real to you. Death should be real to you. Pain should be real to you. Or if you're riding on a plane and you went through some turbulence, one of the engines stopped functioning and the pilot said we're on an emergency now. We don't know whether we're going to make it to the airport or not. Then let's see how you react. So you need something real to test your mind whether it has actually let go of your body or not.
So always have to be a test, Ajahn, like like to prove like it has to be a test.
Well, how else would you know whether you passed the test or not?
I don't know, because I read one of your Q&A. Somebody asked like, "Will you know?" And you said, "Yeah, you will know." So you mean by that you mean it always has to be a test, then you know, right?
That's right. If you think you haven't got any anger, if somebody slapped you in the face and see what happens. If nobody slapped you in the face, you won't know whether you still have anger or not, right?
How about the pain, Ajahn? Like, does the Sotapan like can see pain as like, it is like
just like the answer I gave to Darren. Darren said he likes to use the three characteristics as a way of dealing with pain. So when you can see the pain as being anicca, dukkha, anatta, then you use wisdom. You gain wisdom. You have half of your work done as far as the body is concerned, but you still have to test the death part. Yeah. If you can live with the painful feeling and not being disturbed. Yeah. And you do that when you meditate, when your body becomes painful, and you say, okay, I'm still continuing on with my meditation. I still keep focusing on my breath and leave the pain alone.
Oh, okay.
If I can leave the pain alone, but like I'm still afraid of death, then I'm not, like, you still have to take more tests, right, Ajahn?
Yeah, there's two tests you have to do here. First the pain, and then the death part. The aging part also, when you start to see your body and become old, your hair becomes white, see whether you want to dye your hair or not. If you still want to be young, and then you say, oh, I have to go and do some surgery, for instance. Then you don't pass the test of aging. If the body's age and it changes, then you say, okay, this is the nature of the body. Just leave it alone, let it become old, and try to keep it young.
Past three tests, then, Ajahn. You like
the aging, sickness, and death. This is
okay.
Okay. The other test about the body is asubha. That's the next level. So once you have passed these three tests, then you have to go to the next test to see the body as being unattractive.
How about losing a loved one?
That's anicca also. It's another body, your body and other people's body. That's why you have to contemplate both your body and other people's body.
Let's consider, the body.
Other people's body also get old, get sick, and die. So once you can get rid of your attachment to your own body, being attached to other people's body shouldn't be any problem. If you think you have a problem, then you have to also investigate the nature of the body of other people. Then they are also subjected to aging, sickness, and death. That's why the body in the Satipatthana Sutta said you have to investigate your own body and other people's body. So that you have a balanced view of the body. Not just your body, other people's body also the same, have the same nature as your own body.
Oh, okay.
So when somebody you love should die or should get sick, you say, well, it's the same way with my body. We're all in the same boat, let's put it that way. Everybody in this room, we're all in the same boat. So now later we're gonna get sick, we're gonna die.
6 tests, Ajahn.
More tests.
The more bodies you are related to, then the more tests you have. You and your husband, then you have your sons and your daughters, your father and your mother, your friends. Anybody you attach to will be a problem for you when something happened to them, right? But if people you don't know, you don't care, right? What happened to them?
Yeah.
So you should treat everybody like people you don't know. Then it won't hurt you whatever happened to them. Okay.
Thank you, Tanajan.
All right. Any more questions?
Yeah,
Kok Seng first, then Belinda next. Okay.
Yeah, Ajahn, just thinking about this question. I just recall, or rather, in my own reflections, I know.
Can you speak a bit louder? I cannot hear you.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, in my own reflections, I recall that when I was very young, I was actually very attracted by the Buddha statue the first time I seen it, and after that, I was reading up all the Buddha's teachings at a very young age. But at the same time, I also know that I'm not ready to become a monastic because I know that I'm still attracted to the opposite gender, and I know that once you get married, when I grown up and so on. So my question earlier you mentioned about we have to ask ourselves whether we are a full-time practitioner or a part-time practitioner. So I'm just thinking if I mean I'm a householder, so I being a householder, that means I will not be able to I'm not ready to renounce. So does that mean that I'm not able to be a full-time practitioner? I can only be a part-time practitioner.
No, it doesn't mean that. What it means is, if you are not practicing full-time, then you're not full-time. That's all. You can be practicing full-time and still be a householder. But normally, it's difficult for a householder to have full-time practice because they have other things they have to do. But if you are fortunate, you're rich, you got all the money, and you don't need to do any work, then you can become a full-time practitioner.
Or full-time practitioner at the same time with our wife and children.
Well, if you can, if you find you can, then you have to separate from them. Maybe you live in a different house. They live in one house and you live in the next house.
Oh, but it's not possible. Yeah.
Well, then if you're not possible for you to practice full-time, then it's your fault. It's not whether you're a householder or not a householder. It's the same way in reverse. Even if you become a monk, sometimes you don't practice full-time also. And doesn't mean your status will guarantee that you will be practicing full-time. Some monks don't practice full-time. They practice half the time and they go do something else half of the time also. So it's yourself to decide whether you you want to practice full time or not full time. If you want to practice full time, then you have to do it, and if anything comes in your way, then you have to get rid of them if they becomes obstacle to your practice. If you have relationship, then you might have to sever that relationship.
But I'm not ready for that yet.
Okay, and then you're not full-time practitioner. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Ajahn.
Okay, Belinda, you're next.
Ajahn, I read your autobiography. It's also relating to just what Kok Seng has asked about decision making. Like I just want to ask how Ajahn make decision when you practice full time. You left your job, you practice full time as a householder, and when you make that decision to go to the monastic, was it a rational thinking, or was it like a lot of silence practice and you come to that, or how's the process?
It's rational. It's like getting a new job and getting better salary. See? Working, you don't get as much as you would get from meditating. So once I see the difference, then why should I stick to working when I can get more from meditating? I can get more happiness from meditating. I get more stress from working. See? It's simple, it's rationality, cause and effect. You do this and this is what you get. You work with this company, you get this salary. If you work for this company, you get a better salary. Would you stick with the old company or would you move to a new company? The Buddha company is the best company in the world, give you the highest salary that no other company in the world can give you. But you don't know that because you haven't trained yourself with this company yet. If you start training with this company and you start receiving the salary, then you say, "Oh, this company really pays good salary."
I guess for me, I know at this point of stage, I find that I know the benefit of joining the Buddha's company.
But you're not experiencing it. You just know, but you haven't experiencing it. If you have experienced it, then you will switch right away. So this is this is what you have to do: experience the benefit of practicing meditation. If you cannot experience, if you haven't yet experienced this, then you will still be attached to your old company because you have nothing to compare.
It's like a obstacle, like the sense of not the courage, like confidence. So the fear or sort of there's still obstacles or defilement. You say that is actually like Ajahn described in your book, because you find that
because you haven't yet you haven't reached the result of your practice yet. See? So you're still doubtful of your ability, whether you can push yourself toward that goal or not. But once you reach it once, then you become confident. Even a small goal at first, but once you can do this, you can go for a higher, better goal, larger goal.
I stayed in monastery for like 1.5 months, and last week we talk about past lives, and like similar to Kok Seng say, we have memories when during our childhood time, certain memories that we remember that is connected to the Buddha. I was told when I was my mom likes to do fortune telling, and I was told that I was a monk before in my past life. So I thought it was very funny when I heard that news, because I haven't even learned meditation at that point. So I didn't find that I have any characteristic of a monk in my past life, or even now I don't at that time. So, but as life unfold, I went for a first retreat at the Grinka teacher's site, the 10 days retreat, and things gradually unfold. Because it's naturally for me, I ask, how do you remember past life when everything is forgotten? So that being said, it's already past. That's the past life. But that sort of explain also, it helps me to deepen understanding, not just believing that there's a past life, but through the process of meditation and things slowly unfold, and I see maybe there is past life, and there are memories from the past that still like haunting at the back of the mind. There is delusion, of course. At one stage, there was this.
We're not here to prove whether there's past life or not. We have to do. We here want to prove that what we can do in this lifetime.
Yes.
So don't lose your don't lose track, because your defilement wants to keep you away from what you have to do now.
At one stage, Ajahn, I was like, there was this recurring thoughts that I have enough of monkhood. It was a decision. I was to decide whether to get back to the worldly world, and the plan was to get back to the worldly world, and the habit is. So when I start to say things like not things how the way I want it to be, because I used to be able to decide or plan what I want to do, and I will go according to the plan. So at one stage, I realized that things are not within my command, and I have to surrender to what the universe or wants me to do. So at this point, I'm like, I feel I will have to decide where I should be. So I guess I just have to still continue to meditate, or I'm not sure.
Well, if you want to join the Buddha's company, you have to follow what he tells you to do. He's your boss, and he tells you to meditate, to practice dana, sila, and pavana. This is the work of the company. If you're not doing it, then you're not considered to be part of the company.
Part-timer. Okay.
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 Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Do we have somebody else? Evie. Okay, Evie. One last question. I think we are almost out of time. Can you make it brief?
Ajahn, I want to ask. I have because my last year I used to think about my own bones while I'm meditating, and it become a habit now. So if I see a beauty woman with a slender body, and my mind starts to place a school imprinted on that woman body, it is like replacing the beauty with ugliness, right? But my quality, like me, should not think about this asupa, right?
Only when you have sexual desire toward that body, then you should think of asupa. If normally you don't want to use asupa, because it can turn into hatred if you don't use it properly.
Only when the sex desire comes out.
Right. When you have that attraction toward that body, and you want to have sexual activity with that body, then you should look at asupa to stop your sexual desire. But if you just see a person normally and there's no sexual attraction, then you don't need to use asupa upon that person, because it might make you hate that person unnecessarily.
No, I don't hate, because they are artists. If I see the artist like very beautiful artist, so I see them post say like a sexual post say, so I will automatically imagine, oh, that is just a skull and the intestines inside, just like that. But I should not think about this again. Is that right? Because I haven't been able to maintain samadhi for long, right? Yeah, sometimes I feel, should I do this? But
You
this
see,
is automatically.
asupa is like medicine. When you have a headache, you take medicine, right? But when you don't have headache, you don't take medicine, do you?
Okay,
So asupa is when you have sexual desire, then you have to use asupa to stop your sexual desire. But when you don't have any sexual desire, then you don't need to use the supa. Except when you have to do the homework, then you have to keep thinking of a supa as a homework. But you don't use it. You use it when you have sexual desire. If you don't do your homework when you have sexual desire, you might not be able to think of a supa. So you have to train yourself to think of a supa first.
Yeah. And as lay people like us who, if we diligently do meditation, diligently listen to Dhamma, but still face life normally, like activity on business, have a family, have a wife, husband, child, can be enlightenment again.
I don't know. You have to ask them. Don't ask me.
If we just have mindfulness, can it be attained enlightenment?
To become enlightened, you have to see the body as the people as being a five khandha, and they are anatta. There's no self in the five khandha. Then you can become enlightened that way. Okay, I think we are out of time. Let me go back to Facebook. Do we have any more questions from Facebook?
No more question,ท่านอาจารย์
Okay. Then in that case, I think it's about time for us to say goodbye. Thank you very much for joining this meeting. I hope you can benefit from it somewhat and help you advance in your practice. In the meantime, please be safe, be mindful, and keep on practicing. Until next week, goodbye.
Sadhu,
สาธุเจ้าค่ะ
Thanks, Tanajan.
Thank you, Ami.
Thank you.
Thank you, Admin.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.